I've never played a game that felt like Final Fantasy XII. With some other RPG games, you kind of know what to expect. Towns, turn-based battles, min-maxing your stats. And sure, those things are there with Final Fantasy XII. But honestly, if they weren't, I don't think the package would have come together as nicely as it did. But that's not what makes Final Fantasy XII unique. What makes Final Fantasy XII unique is the Gambit system and its cohesion with the narrative that the game is trying to tell. The Gambit system is truly one of the most unique ways to engage with what are essentially turn-based battles or active time battles common to the franchise, allowing players to do what they love to do most, make meaty, tasty decisions. However, it uses a rudimentary programming language. Players can create if-then type scenarios where if the criteria is met, the action is performed. So let's say you want to set up a gambit to heal your team members. If ally HP is less than 70%, then use a heal spell. What this does is zoom out the nitty-gritty interactions of classic JRPG button mashing. No longer are you setting your moves, then mashing A because the menus remember your previous selections. Instead of carpal tunnel that can stem from some lengthy grinding sessions, the player makes the decision and lets those decisions run wild. Instead of turning your brain off, you tune into the battles to see what is working and what isn't, constantly making small adjustments just to find the optimal configuration. And thanks to incredible enemy variety and pacing, these macro-level decisions are constantly being tweaked. The player is first given control of a young soldier named Rex. He is obviously way too green for the depth of the combat scenario he is thrown into. This takes a beautiful cue from films, which is to start the story as late as possible. We're given a little backstory via text crawl, then thrust right into the shoes of this young soldier. It's clear the directors were taking from Star Wars here. There's a lot of big symphonic score and text crawl right into big, breach action scene. Darth Vader is on the ship. It's really very overt, but Final Fantasy in its own way. I love it. And after the intro sequence, which acts as a tutorial, the main character Rex you're playing as dies in a cutscene. After his death, the story moves to the city of Rabanastre, where Rex's brother Vaughn resides. We take control of him now. As Vaughn is the first character we control in the post-prologue tutorial moments of the game, I will be referring to him as the main character. He also fits the bill nicely, being a white-as-hell, bleach-blonde anime boy. Very Final Fantasy. Vaughn is a little shallow as a character, beyond his explicitly laid-out character traits. He proudly preaches loyalty and a strong sense of moral justice, but in the actual context of the gameplay, he never really has to question that within the party. There are no interesting decisions to be made about the interpersonal relationships between him and Bosch or Ash. And the times that he does face conflict, it's very clearly a villain in the grander scheme of the plot. Despite his flaws as a, quote, character, what Vaughn excels at being is a video game protagonist. There's just enough meat on this pile of code and 3D models that makes Vaughn feel real. Real enough, at least, to let the player slot themselves into his shoes. Vaughn is not supposed to have character development, beyond the character development of you, the player. This obviously runs the risk of the player not connecting with him at all. FF12's gameplay systems allow the player to roleplay more of a board game-like party commander, in case they don't connect with Vaughn in this way. What Vaughn really is a starting point. Vaughn is one of the smallest victims of this war. He's an orphan living in the underpowered city that is being wrongfully attacked by a neighboring imperial nation with a big-ass army. Despite this, Vaughn believes he should be out there fighting for what's right. Through Vaughn's low-level monster shenanigans, he meets increasingly important people. In the beginning of his quest, while fighting in the sewers, he meets Balthier and Fran, two sky pirates who have a bit of a reputation in the world of Ivalice. These three link up, and from there we meet Bosch, a soldier for the enemy nation who has defected and joined the rebellion. And lastly, rounding out the party is Lady Ash, the literal heir to the throne of the small nation under attack. Yeah, we have an orphan from the sewers fighting alongside the queen. To me, this feels very in line with the common JRPG trope of how quickly and drastically the stakes can rise. You know, level 1, you're killing a rat, but by level 100, you're, okay, kill God. What I love about Final Fantasy XII is that it uses that framework, but makes it cohesive narratively, and it marries that cohesion with the presentation of its gameplay systems. Putting Vaughn as the main character of this creates a nice harmony with the player's experience. Vaughn is an unskilled orphan boy who lives a sheltered life, then is brought out into the real world and is given the opportunity of a lifetime to make something of himself. This mirrors the gameplay experience for the player, uncovering the many systems like the Gambit system and the classes and license board that help you understand how engaging this world can be. The narrative of Vaughn is similar to the narrative of your gameplay experience. The player and Vaughn both uncover so much about this world at roughly the same pace and never would have if they never left their respective little bubbles.